Hello and welcome. My name's Tina and our family bought 140 acres off the grid in Australia last year. We're just going to see some friends of friends of friends of ours who originally bought one of our native bee hives from us about 3 or 4 years ago, and each year we come back to split their hives for them. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a look how that works and how to split a beehive. We pretty much owe all of our knowledge to looking after native bees and splitting the hives to Tim Hurd, who is well known for understanding all about Australian native bees, and he's written a book called the Australian Native Bee Book, and I'll add a link to that down in the description below. I really encourage you to get your hands on this book. And so Tim Hurd says that Jeff Monteith and Sybil Curtis from the Queensland Museum were the ones to discover the technique of being able to split the beehives. And this was back in the 1960s, and not much has changed really about how to split the beehive since then. So Paul's just taken off the tape that helps hold the beehive parts together, and he's just putting on his bee hat. And he's also blocked off both entrance holes.
Every time my buddy do it, they just love me.
Yeah. So. Oh, especially this lot too.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Because I remember running down here trying to get rid of them.
So basically the main idea is just to separate two sections of a complete healthy hive and then couple each half with an empty hive to basically grow two colonies instead of one.
So, looking at that. So they're really healthy, but so see here where I've put the, I don't think...
This one has not split in half like they normally do.
So looking at that, I mean, I could try to get in there and split this in half. Yeah, we'll give it a go so we can split it. We'll just see what, so in here, there should be like two separate layers. Or not two layers, but like the bottom layer and the top layer. So I'm just going to try to get in there and split it.
So this is the Tetragonula carbonaria species. You can tell by the shape of the brood.
So there's probably about like 12 layers over the whole thing. Yeah. But see what I'm trying to do, there's normally two halves to it. Yeah. So I'm going to see if I can just find the top and bottom half. That's all brood.
And that's all eggs?
That's all eggs, yeah. Oh no, I'll get some more. That's all eggs still. So what they do, they just keep layering up and up and up. Yeah. Until they get to the top, and then they just start, they come down again and just start again. I just want to get out enough. Make sure both hives are happy. Good, happy amount of eggs.
What's the white? Is that where you've separated?
Yeah, so that's the bees that are I've crushed. So that should be enough.
Baby there. Bees.
Back on, they're actually really mild.
They're very mild today, aren't they?
I'm going to squash them.
Do you want me to get them out?
Because it's a different size hive. See how that's really thin?
Yeah.
And this thickness, so that it won't set and seal properly.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just gonna.
So because in this instance the brood did not separate and all of the brood and everything stayed in the top half of the hive, it was quite easy to split that apart and bring it down into the bottom part. But when it's actually, when all the brood doesn't separate and stays in the bottom part of the hive, then it can become quite complicated where you might need to turn the beehive upside down, and Tim Hurd's book explains how to do it. So you might want to refer to that if it happens.
They're a little bit annoyed, but they're not actually too bad.
So Paul's just added the two empty top sections of the beehive there and is just taping it back up. So if you open up a hive and you're not happy with the way it separates inside, then and you don't know what to do, don't worry, just simply put it back together and try again another time, because it's about where the advancing front will be inside the hive that affects how it splits when it's open
What
up.
you need to do is, if I do split, like if it's looking good and we can split that one as well, you'll have to take it away somewhere
Yeah, that's what we did
and
one
then
other
bring it back.
time,
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
That
yeah.
one there went to
Yeah.
freeze for 2 weeks and
Yeah.
swarmed like crazy for 2 weeks. She was panicking that she was going to kill them.
Yeah,
Oh, when they
we have
swarm,
that
it's
all the
crazy.
time.
So I said,
Yeah.
no, I don't think there's anything you can really do.
There are a few rules to follow where to put your hives after you've split them.
We'll, open them up, and so all these ones will find their way back home, which will be good.
Yeah.
We use strapping in buckles to hold the hives together.
Just so they don't, if they get knocked over.
Yeah, and we just leave that on. I know you can probably take it off, but
Yeah, no.
We leave it on
I'm
ours.
the same way, we leave it on.
it's not hurting anything. Yeah.
Running around.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. You take the risk that nothing's going to knock it over, and it will, it will get knocked over.
If you undo it, definitely. No feasible there.
Yeah. So Paul's now adding the empty bottom to the 2 parts that are full of the bees. So this now creates the second hive from the original one. I have a couple of other videos on the channel on Australian native beekeeping if you want to check them out. They're amazing to have as pets and very interesting to watch and great for the environment.
Yeah. Or aircraft.
So Paul uses aircraft wire to cut the top section, the honey section, off the rest of the hive. Some people use this method for cutting the brood in half down the bottom, but
Just,
that's not good for them.
Makes it easier to take the top off.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's hard enough to get through.
Yeah, well, that's it. They're wax. Sorry, girls. Yeah, well, that's all.
Honey pots.
That's all pollen. That's all honey pots. But so I'll cut that probably and put all that out.
So the bees get nectar out of the flowers and swallow it into an organ called a crop, in which it's carried back to the nest. The forager then regurgitates it to the house bees.
They're probably going to start getting angry with me because I've done that. But
Yeah, they're all coming out now.
yeah, because I want to try to get as many out of there because pretty much they'll drown in their honey.
So once the house bees have the nectar, they put it in their crop and carry it to the storage pots.
I sort of want to get them stirred up, but I don't.
So in this species, the top half or the top section is where the honey pots are kept. Don't lose the honey in there.
Yeah, the whole lot.
There's
Just
still
with the,
heaps of bees in that one there.
yeah,
Yep. Well, that's all the eggs, isn't it?
yeah.
That's the important thing.
So they call this tangy honey sugarbag honey. This species of bee actually likes to live anywhere north of Nowra on the east coast, and the more you go inland, the less favourable it is for the bees. So they prefer the warmer weather. So if you're living in the colder area, it's basically not good to take their honey because they might need it through the next winter. Technically, it's not actually officially honey. It's called sugarbag because it has some pollen still in it.
Quite a bit of pollen still in that, but I might just try to keep that out of it. It just the pollen.
That's that good for your propolis? Or?
Yeah. No, it's it just honey wise,
It's not as sweet.
it makes it a bit of a strange, well, not strange flavour, but it's quite a strong pollen
Yeah.
flavour when it. That's right, I should be able to get all that.
So the bees process nectar and pollen to preserve it for later use.
Yeah, sorry girls, I know.
Stay out of the honey girls.
So in the case of nectar, the act of turning it into honey actually keeps it in a safe, usable state, which may be easily digestible by the young. If the intake of nectar is greater than the current needs of the colony, the excess will be made into honey for storage and later use.
So our spare one, can it go to someone who already has bees?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Yep, that's fine.
Just for the week.
Well, look
Just
at
for
that.
the week or two until they can come back.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we'll just stir their bees up, but I thought, well, we've got 2 in the yard and they die.
So this is propolis and pollen. Several forms of it can be observed in the honey section or the top of the hive when you're harvesting the honey. Propolis is a mixture of resin and wax. The resin is collected from plants, but the wax is actually produced by the bees themselves. They can use the propolis to insulate their hive, or they can use it as transport to get from one section of the hive to another.
Yeah, it's about some chefs supposedly in Sydney and some of the more extreme chefs will pay about 300 a kilo for this honey.
Oh,
Great.
you were just going to give me a jar. You know what I'm doing with it, don't you? Yeah, exactly. Put them in his coffee.
Can I open that jar for me?
That's for sure.
Where's the
You know,
jar?
that just there. Open her up.
Is that right where it is?
Yep.
And because inside the stingless bee nest it's warm and humid, it's ideal for the growth of microorganisms. So basically, if they turn it into honey just as we turn our milk into cheese to preserve it, the bees are processing their food so that it can be kept safe for storage for later consumption.
Is it lemony?
Last one was real lemony.
Last bit. I
It's
still
not as lemony. It's a bit more sort of
lemony to
there's a big bloody pool
Still?
there. Yeah.
Tangy, eh?
Tastes lemony.
It
Doesn't
has
it?
got that lemon.
A little bit.
Isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
We'll just
Sweet. It's got that little hint
I'll
of
wash
lemon
that
to it.
stuff here because that will put back on the hive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, can you, Tina? Can you grab the filter?
This?
Yep.
Oh gosh.
We'll just give that a wash. Yep. Nice.
It's not very pretty, is it?
No. Nice.
Yeah. The guys keep enjoying the honey. The propolis is also used to make the bees honey pots. So there's a whole other process of producing the propolis for sale as well. And Tim Hurd explains how to do that too.
Stuff like that.
Ah, hive number 1.
Oh, that is so much more pleasurable.
Yes, it is. Heaps lighter.
You're a beer drinker, aren't you? Zero beers, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh no, thanks. Yeah. Oh, Keena might like it.
So now we're just going to take another look into the second beehive. We'll just check if it's going to be healthy enough to split.
Cut the wax out. I think you just poked a few spots.
Yeah. Yep.
It was good.
Oh, I don't know. See, all of these are all the ones from the other hive. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect with this one. Okay, so see that. See how you got the bottom half, all the spin, and you got the top half.
Yeah.
That's how it should split. Oh, that's it. So that's almost, apart from that little bit there, that's almost a perfect split there. And those big eggs in the corner there, they'll be queen eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And colonies of Australian stingless bee species requeen themselves if a hive division renders them queenless. When building your beehives, you really need to make sure you're minimising any gaps between the different sections of the hive. The bees will actually help seal it, but that's where a lot of predators can get inside and kill the bees.
Oh, that one's half the weight to it now.
Yep.
Well,
It's still pretty. It's
still got a bit of weight.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's got a bit in it.
Pretty full.
Yeah. But then I've thought in the past some of them are full and opened them up and gone, oh, it's empty.
Not much.
Yeah, no, some of them, what some do is they actually block the holes off. Don't even use it. Sometimes it's totally empty, but you can't
You can't get
quite
with-
tell, you know.
with that tap.
You'll know when a hive is healthy enough to be able to split it by estimating its weight, the time since its last division, and the forager activity. Our beehives are actually heavier than usual because they're made out of hardwood though.
At least I don't have the same sort of skin as the European.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be standing here.
No, I don't think any of us would be.
No, not if I was doing this to the hives.
Yeah, no.
Usually a beehive colony will become strong after about 12 months. You should be able to see between 30 and 60 bees going into the hive per minute.
It still feels like a bit of stuff in there. Yeah. This always stirs them up. But you'll see how fast they, once I start undoing that, they'll get, they'll get pretty angry.
Oh, someone come to your house and drilling through it with it.
Yeah, exactly. And then ripping off all our food out of our fridge.
Yeah. So you make all these yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all 50 by 100 Merbu.
Yeah.
We usually split our beehives in the late evening or late afternoon because the bees are less likely to be flying around.
You'll see them change as well, their tempo, when I start to...
Oh, this one have a divider in it.
Yeah. Look at them all starting to come out.
They haven't been all placid to...
Just basic.
It's looking good.
That's right. There's heaps of them, though.
Heaps of bees.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, these are the vicious. This is the vicious lot.
Well, they're still, like, the type of bee is a karma bee. These aren't the nasty bees.
Yeah.
So there is another type like this that are, pretty nasty. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, these ones are friendly, aren't they?
Yeah, they're starting to...
Start to attack me.
Yeah, I might just take this over here somewhere and just give it a good bang down somewhere. Let them all get out.
Another run around.
Yeah, working all out maybe on the paving there.
Yeah, mate, we're on the side of this.
It's gonna be fun.
That's how you do it. Get in
What I'm going to do, just going to take that, see, look at all that pollen.
Lots.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, too much to
Put
just,
it in the honey.
Yeah.
yeah, don't want to, that's crazy amount, so you could probably even leave that available for them. Don't know if they'll, I don't know if they'll recollect the pollen.
Reuse it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could try.
So the foraging bees return with their loads of pollen and they carry them to the open pollen storage pots without any transfer to the house bees. Later on, this fermented pollen is taken to the brood cells as food for the larvae.
Pollen, huh? It looks like we're down to the end of the pollen. Sorry, girls. Sorry.
What do you reckon? Just put that out in the yard somewhere?
Yeah, or just
Because that's no good for propolis, that is it?
I don't know. Like I've never left out
The pollen.
pollen for them, but we could definitely try.
And the flavour of the tetragonlia honey may also be masking the subtle flavours that come from the different nectar sources.
This will give you a good bit of honey too. Yeah. Oh, that's a lot.
Trying to go in my ear.
They're starting to get you in your ears now.
Look at all that golden deliciousness.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
There's a lot of honey in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. More than that one.
And stingless bee honey has a really high water content, which makes it more runnier than your general honey. So people buy the propolis to use to make candles, ointment, for medical use, beekeeping, and craft materials. You can even make a didgeridoo mouthpiece out of it. So the process of making honey from nectar is called ripening. Ripening involves dehydration and addition of enzymes. So basically the workers keep ingesting and regurgitating the honey, and they use their wings to fan air around the droplets.
They're not too bad, even though there's heaps of them swarming. They're actually not. They're leaving me alone.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I mean, there's heaps of them on me, but
It's only when you get too close, like around here, that they start wanting to go on you.
You can see all the bees swarming around Paul's bee hut here.
hive number 2.
Lovely.
We'll get a bit of oil on them in a sec.
Once the sugar content of the honey storage pot is around 80%, then the honey pot is sealed. The bees may then store it long term, or they could reopen it to feed the young.
Might have to strain this one again because a few bees have gone into that one.
A few bees.
Yeah. I'll put it in there for now.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's heaps.
That is.
Yeah.
That's good. Because that was split last year, wasn't it? That one, you got
Yes.
the honey out of that one, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well that's like that's about a kilo there, so a
Yeah.
kilo a year like
That's
that.
what it should be a year.
Yeah. Healthy hive.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's what
good.
we want.
So Australia's Tetragonula carbonaria, which are these ones, will normally store 1 to 2 kilos of honey per year. And interestingly, the pollen is actually treated differently to the nectar when it's brought into the hive.
Okay.
The bees will let you.
So Paul's trying to drink the honey out of the bowl, but the bees are swarming him.
Is that one different again? Still lemony?
Yeah, it's good.
Tastes different though?
A little bit different.
Same.
It does,
Give it a
eh?
wash.
Give me. I'm gonna have it.
So because we use hardwood for building our beehives, we don't need to paint them. So we do actually give them a bit of a paint with some burnt engine oil, which supposedly helps a little bit with deterring ants and other bugs and things from getting into the hive. But it also makes the hardwood look really nice as well. And you might have noticed the difference in the thickness of the wood between the hardwood and the original pine beehive that we had that we split, the one that's yellow, and that's because the hardwood needs to be thicker for insulating the hive. Our beehive design is based on the original Australian Trigona hive, or oath as it's called for short, which is recommended by Tim Hurd in his book as well. A lot of scientific research went into the design of this box and a lot of observations, so it works really well. Thanks for watching, and chat to you next time.